If I may, in the spirit of the practice in South Africa, where I had the pleasure of serving under you many years ago, say all protocol observed to save time, which essentially means we don't need to take everybody's names in a long list. Let me make 5 contextual points and 3 quick summary points so as to fit into the time available to us. First, if we go beyond the normal idea of the importance of water, which we should take as a given, let's look at rivers and indeed even oceans in a political sense. There is obviously a cross-border dimension to rivers and to oceans, but rivers most of all, because these have cross-border dimensions both between countries and within countries. Countries like India, for instance, which are made up of a number of states, river waters crossing states is a crucial part of the connectivity issue. It's also a crucial part of political issues. So there is therefore a first point, a political context to looking at rivers. Second, the historical and cultural dimension point. And I think His Excellency, the Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, made that point quite eloquently, as did the Chief Minister of Assam. As rivers are shapers of culture, history, and tradition. And you need go no further than this very city to see how rivers have transformed and shaped the life and culture of the Assamese people, but also in the larger region of pre-independence Bengal. Third, an economic dimension. Rivers offer a complex construct through which human activity is supported, both directly and indirectly. Directly, obviously, historically, through irrigation, through fisheries, through a range of activities that depend upon directly drawing upon the river, and also indirectly. Today, in the modern age, rivers are an important source of driving energy, but also transport and commerce through connectivity. And we will have a session on that in which I'm sure we can bring out some of these aspects even more comprehensively. Fifth, the idea of sustenance of human life. Obviously, potable water for all, sanitation, and the sustenance of cities and urban agglomerations. Rivers are central to all of that. So in looking at all of this, what are the conclusions we can draw? If we take these as given propositions that we need to move forward in analyzing rivers this way, then I think we need to understand first and foremost that today we tend to look at rivers rather segmentally rather than comprehensively. Governments normally take rivers as river water ministries in which there is fundamentally a technocratic approach to a river. But if you recognize that rivers are all of these and more, then there is a need to have a more comprehensive, more holistic approach to rivers. Not merely the technocratic, not merely the political, and indeed not merely the emotive or populist aspect of rivers. Without this, you have no means to actually move forward in understanding the complexity that rivers actually bring to us. Second, the notion of rivers as a perspective, or the notion of the perspective of rivers that we have as separators, that separate us bank from bank, city from city, or state from state, and indeed country from country. If you look at them as connectors, then actually rivers have a far more fundamental role to play in reimagining and reconceptualizing the geographies to which we are all bound. In that sense, then you could look at water cooperation as more than just hydrodiplomacy, more than just the idea of discussing how to share water, which is always a complex topic in which the question of what share is appropriate and how much is appropriate for each person, to come to a more comprehensive way of looking at management of water and management of rivers. By this, I mean management of the ecosystem to which a river is central. That includes the river itself, the health of the water, the health of the banks, and the health of the system through which the river runs, the health of the connected lands that depend on the river, overwatering, underwatering, desertification, salination of land, and indeed the idea that rivers are a complex ecosystem that need to be sustained, including the aquatic life therein. Second, management of the totality of the river. We tend to look at rivers as segments of the river. There is the upper course of the river, the mid course of the river, the lower course of the river. But there is a totality of a basin of the river, which in 2011, the governments of India and Bangladesh set forward in a fairly far-sighted way to look at rivers as integrated ecosystems and to look at river management, cooperation, as a basin-wide approach through which we could actually look at how a river needs to satisfy the different needs of different communities in different contexts. So this includes in the northern hill areas and the mountain areas where rivers are key not just for the supply of water, but also for the supply of electricity, right down to the course in the deltaic areas where they're key to the sustenance of fishing economies or even complex ecosystems like the Sundarbans. And finally, management to the people aspect of rivers. Historically, communities that live on or actually literally live on the river, not on the banks of it. These are complex communities that are in danger of dying out across South Asia and across Southeast Asia. Management of these traditional systems, management of these traditional cultures is a critical part of what policymakers and think tanks together need to think about. So let me offer these as initial comments. I would be happy to take on specific ideas on what we can discuss if there is time for a comment section. With that, sir, let me come to a conclusion here. Thank you.